All right, what is up, Ken?
What's going on? I just realized doing that I'm wearing the exact same Plaque Blade shirt that I was in my promo picture from that concert. So how embarrassing for me right off the bat. Especially considering that from doing like Sounds and Shadows and stuff, I have probably more band T-shirts than just about anybody in existence because people send them
Probably.
to me so that I wear them on the show and stuff, and then I get caught doing the same twice in a row. That's funny.
That was very funny. All right, so introduce yourself.
I am Ken Magerman. I am the singer of the very silly goth band Amaranth. And then in addition to that, I run a music review page slash podcast and Facebook group called Sounds and Shadows that focuses mostly on what I call dark scene, which is kind of anything in the broad goth, industrial, shoegaze, dark wave, synthwave, yada yada yada, witch house genre. I find genre pretty useless in general, other than to say if you like band A, perhaps you might enjoy band B. That's about as much as I care about genre.
Yeah, that about sums it up. So, how'd you first get involved in like the golf scene and stuff?
Wow, that goes way back. So about 30 years ago, I think the first big thing was I was playing a role playing game called Vampire the Masquerade. It was
Yep.
a old White Wolf game. And I don't know, we were like 14 or something. And in the front of the book, it has suggestions for, if you're trying to set the mood of your tabletop experience, hey, you should check out these bands to play in the background of Bauhaus, Sisters of Mercy, Joy Division, etc., etc. So we did just that and played them. And I went, this is it. This is it right here. This is me. And that was kind of the beginning of how I got into goth music. I also had, some really cool people like my Uncle Steve, my mom's youngest brother, that started kind of taking me to raves and shows and things like that when I was really young, like 13, 14, 15, and playing me New Order and whatnot. And I think that was the beginning of the journey for me, and I never looked back.
All right. So, what inspired you to start Sounds and Shadows?
I went through a pretty long period there where I kind of gave up on new music, sadly. Like most of the 2000s, kind of my 30s. I don't know. I went to this place where I felt like nothing good or fresh or interesting was coming out. And if it wasn't, old school, like Joy Division or the Sisters, then F this. And which is terrible. It was really, but I don't know. That was just my head at the time. And all of a sudden, around 2017, 2018, I found like Twin Tribes, Actors, some of these bands that I just got really inspired. And I'm like, where has this been? And I had a kind of goth renaissance. So drunk one night at 2 a.m., I kind of said, like, you know what? I should tell people about this. Other people should know. So I could write a review about this Twin Tribes band and this album Shadows, and I'm going to do it now. And I composed this like 2-page long love letter on Facebook to Twin Tribes Shadows, and the band saw it. I tagged them in it, and they shared it and really liked it. And I started kind of a friendship with Joelle and Luis there. And then I started doing others, Kill Shelter and Actors and a bunch of other bands. And it started just there on Facebook, but really it was just me spewing drunken love letters to these new goth post-punk bands that I discovered. And eventually it got to the point where I had so many people following along with it. I got my own webpage and, started soundsandshadows.com, where I started posting them and more reviews. And then we started charts, a singles chart for it. And it just kept growing and evolving. And then eventually Facebook, the algorithm being difficult how it was, but one of the best ways to me you can still reach a lot of people with groups. So if people say, hey, I am interested enough in this subject matter that I will join this group, you tend to see things from that group if you choose to be in it more often on Facebook. So at first it was kind of more people will see my reviews and get more ears on different bands that I like. But then I started posting some questions in the group, and a lot of other musicians that I knew and that I had reviewed had joined. And so when I would post these production questions or things like that, you'd have some pretty big name rock stars chiming in to give their advice or their 2 cents. And so then the thing started spitballing and going further and further with discussions. And now I think we're almost, we're at about like 7,500 people. But for me, it's not even just, I don't let a lot of people in the group. Like I'm pretty
Right.
about answering the questions and really reading them to get in and looking at everybody's profile. And so the people in the group, even though I guess that's not as big as some, you know, like 20 or 30,000 groups,
Right.
it's all definitely people, and mostly ones that are pretty active and actually contribute to it. So to me, that's pretty awesome to have that many artists all over the world looking to help each other out, looking to give advice, looking to get advice, and looking to learn about new music.
Absolutely. I see you over there on Instagram. Hi, Mendax. So where the name Sounds and Shadows? How'd you come up with that?
Sure. I mean, that was partially just I was trying to think of something, you know, to call it, but also that first album that I reviewed was Shadows by Twin Tribes. So
Okay.
that's kind of what helped it pop into my head. And then we got a logo done by Jim Marcus of Go Fight. And you know, just a lot of other people that kind of contributed and helped out along the way to assist me in getting this thing to where it is.
All right. So did you like you mentioned how many people there are in the group? Like, did you have any idea at the time it would, you know, kind of explode and get to be a decent sized, you know, group?
I did not. And more importantly, I really didn't even, I don't know, care about that or try and make that happen. I've always said that I would rather have 500 awesome people in the group than just try and get everybody that I could into the most amount with bots or anything else, you know?
Right.
So I honestly, to me, the fact that it's grown that much organically without me actively trying to get other people in the group is amazing to me. I'm always in disbelief over it.
Yeah, for sure. All right. So how'd you pronounce your band name again? Amaranth?
Amaranth.
Okay.
It's both a real plant, a flower,
Right.
like the hardiest one in the world, where it can kind of grow in both tundra and near desert, and but also it was a myth, a mythology thing, and it was a immortal flower that was at the bottom of the ocean, and if you swam down to get it, you would achieve immortality. And then also it was a thing from that White Wolf game.
Okay.
So it was kind of, and originally Amaranth was the band. I mean, I started it. None of the other original members are there, but back in the 90s. So back in like 1996, I think we started out with original Amaranth, and had our 15 minutes, like did some big shows and had an album, and then kind of drifted apart and restarted again, I think when I turned 39, and brought back the original guitarist Josh at the time, but then Colin joined up, and Cam, and we kind of restarted and we're playing again. And now we have a lineup of Colin still, and then Damien on guitar playing with us. And we're using backing tracks rather than a live drummer at this point.
Okay. Are you working on new music with Amaranth?
We are. We actually have a brand new album that we're just about to drop. We've actually been sitting on it for a minute, kind of putting things together and waiting for the right time. But here's the cover art behind it. And the album is called Gothtomist. And LB Mason of the band Scary Black, awesome goth band if you've never checked
Oh
out,
yeah.
really great, but did the cover art for it. And it's, I don't know, kind of encapsulating Sounds and Shadows and the ideal to me,
Mm,
that look, we are going through dark times and we're all experiencing this and feeling it, but choosing to see the beauty in kind of dark themes in art and literature and life, in
mm,
spite of what it is, and kind of how that affects us, but finding a way to be hopeful for the future through that. And I'll tell you, the goth scene lately is filling me with hope in a way it really hasn't recently.
mm.
We played the other, I know you're a huge Vision Video fan. So on Thursday,
Maybe just a little bit. I don't know.
but on Thursday, we opened for Vision Video, and then comes Silence and Tears for the Dying over in Detroit. And I tell you, it was a packed show. I think it was
Mm,
sold out, and it was so many young people there. And I went to see them in Grand Rapids a week
mm.
before. Same thing. I think I was the oldest person in that audience by 10 years, you know,
Wow.
like fully. And to see young people that fired up about goth music, which, let's face it, is often a genre that's considered, I don't know, for old folks. It came out at its height in the 80s, which a lot of people forget was 50 years ago, you know?
Yeah.
And so just seeing kids like give a crap, dancing, fired up, like painted up in, full makeup and lacy parasols and shit, like that filled me with hope. And the same kind of thing, Twin Tribes, I went to see them in Ann Arbor at
Hmm.
the end of last year, and it was the same thing. It was young folk fired up, which a lot of times when you go to goth shows just isn't what you see. It's a lot of people who got a babysitter and are hanging out in their 40s and 50s, like, for a band that they've been into for 30 years. So it just,
Hmm.
I don't know, it really gets me excited going forward about that.
Absolutely. And while we're speaking of new music, I just want to give a quick shout out. Both October Noir and Vision Video have new song dropping on Wednesday the 15th. Make sure you stay tuned for that.
Definitely, definitely. I think we got to see Vision Video testing out the new song on their latest couple shows that I saw with them.
Yeah, we definitely. I got to at Dark Force Fest too. It was awesome.
Yeah. Now, Dusty is, I mean, I know I'm coming here to interview for myself, but
That's okay.
it's absolutely incredible, I think, what Dusty has managed to put together, and taking something like a fun little joke, using
Hmm.
that to draw attention to his band, which is amazing. Like the joke wouldn't have worked if the band wasn't amazing once people got there. It only gets them to the
Yeah.
door. So his band is just incredible in the energy of it. But then on top of that, he used his band to then take some really strong political messages
Oh
and
yeah.
share those very openly with, again, young people who respond and resonate with this message. So I absolutely love what he's doing and what he is bringing to the scene.
Absolutely. Same. Big same. All right. Move on before I start crying thinking about seeing Dusty. All right. What would you say is the best show that you've ever played? If you had to
Ooh.
like pick one that was like really special.
I will say this. We've been really, really lucky that kind of in this stage of our career where we all have day jobs, in Amaranth, we're not trying to become rock stars or go out on the
Right.
road or anything. We are what we are. And we get really lucky because of Sounds and Shadows to open for bigger bands than ourselves coming through Chicago and Detroit. We're in Kalamazoo, Michigan, right in between. And I know it's just fresh in my mind, but that show we played opening for Dusty on this last Thursday
Mhm.
was one of the most fun I've ever had. It was absolutely unbelievable. It was sold out. Everybody was fired up. We played really well. Everybody else was amazing.
Mhm.
Then comes Silence live. I mean, I have
Yeah.
a couple of their albums, but seeing it live is a whole other thing. And American audiences need to grasp just how big and just how good Then Comes Silence is. Just
Yeah, I'd heard like a couple of their tracks, but didn't know a lot about them. And I caught their set at Dark Force, and it was like, holy shit, these guys are great. I need to look into them more.
we did one last year too recently that
Mhm.
was opening for Voltaire, also at Smalls, and that was incredible because doing kind of what we do, comedy goth. I
Right,
mean, he invented that shit. You know, like I
exactly.
mean, if you talk, and so I have been a huge fan forever, and just getting to hang out with him and see his show and be a part of it. And he even had me up on stage at the end, and I sang along with him. And yeah,
Oh,
that was a real big one for me too. Just being who he is. So.
that's awesome. All right. Do you have any other shows planned for this year that you're gonna play?
Yeah, we have quite a few coming up in August, which is funny. Usually, we don't do 4 shows in a month or anything because, again, I'm a 46-year-old man and I think that would kill me. But the big one I'd really love to talk about is in Lancaster, Pennsylvania.
Hmm.
My friend Dan has put together this summer concert series that just has a ton of amazing bands on it. I'll get to ours, but I'll start May 25th. Coming up here is Ego Likeness, Silverwalks, which is Dan's band, and Eva X, Gabby, who are all amazing. June 22nd, Black Asteroid, Ivanosphere, and Damascus Knives.
Nice.
Yeah, that's a huge. And then July 19th, Void Vision, Choke Chain, and Nux Vomica. And then ours is August 17th,
Hmm.
out there in Lancaster, Stoneburner, us, Amaranth, and Black Rose Burning from New York.
Nice.
Yeah, like one of my other favorites. I love Georgia. I love Black Rose Burning, of
Oh, yeah,
course.
they're cool.
A dear friend. So getting to play on that bill, we're really, really excited. And we're going to do a coming up to it,
Hmm.
a stop off show in Ohio on the way there. And then we're doing one in Michigan when we get back. So all of
Nice.
those I am very, very excited for. And then we got a couple more in October coming up will be after that. So yeah, we try not to kill ourselves too much being out on
Right.
the road, but sometimes these bands that we love come up with shows and we just can't say no because we're too excited to play with that band.
Absolutely. If you could collaborate with one artist, who would you pick? I mean, or you can pick a couple if you can't pick one.
Yeah. No, I mean that's a tough question. And I'll tell you, on this new album, Gothamist, that's a big part of what it was.
Hmm.
And we have a ton of collaborators on it, from Sounds and Shadows things, doing guest spot. Jason Corbett from Actors does a guest guitar solo on a song. We have a lot of vocal contributions like
Hmm.
Pat Hall. So I mean, we get to do a lot of that, and that's always exciting. But you're talking about, a wish or something
Yeah.
of one person I could play with. That's a toughie. I'll maybe go Martin Gore would be really freaking cool. Depeche Mode.
Yeah.
Just both. I think because I could maybe pull off, not that I could do as good a vocal as David Gahan, but that I could do that style well. And if, he was kind of adding in that other like sensitive synth part in it, that would
Hmm.
be somebody I'd love to do a track with. That would be amazing.
Hey, what's up, Sanguine Macabre? He says Lancaster's not that far. Might try to make it out there in August.
You should. There's a lot of great shows that Dan's putting on there. So if you get a chance to make it, and the other thing, like I said, Amaranth does not go on the road a lot.
Right.
So anybody who was interested in seeing us from out east, who knows when the next time we'll do that is traveling that far, but it's going to be a fun little vacation.
Also, just shout out to Sanguine Macabre. Check out his shit. He does some really cool blog posts and
Oh,
goes
nice.
all over the place. What would you say is your biggest struggle that holds you back a bit from doing things?
Laziness. No,
I mean, That's a valid answer.
No, I think honestly, it's a lot that is kind of, I think, like I've put across here. I love playing music and we love
Mm,
doing it. And the scene is important to me.
right.
And so lifting up other bands is something that's easy for me and I do a lot. But actually pushing our own stuff is something that I don't put nearly as much effort into, and I guess just don't take ourselves that seriously. And I
Mhm.
think that comes across in the, I mean, our music is goth music about ninjas and ass play and like OnlyFans page and stuff. I mean, it's
Right.
for goth music, it is quite ridiculous.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that would be my biggest challenge is I wish sometimes that I put the same amount of effort into the band as I do to other bands.
That makes sense. Like you said, you're putting out a new album in a few days, and you didn't even make a post announcing it anywhere. I'm like, wait, you're
I
what?
did, I
If I
did.
knew that, I would have tried to get a hold of it so we could talk about it. Wait, what?
Yeah. No, this is probably the announcement that we're going to do this and actually hit the release button. I have it all loaded up there on Bandcamp, ready to go, and I just have to hit the button and haven't gotten around to it. I should. That's a good example of what I mean by my laziness. Or the same
Absolutely.
thing, we're at the show there and people are coming up and asking, you know, we had some t-shirts or something to sell and people were like, oh, okay, well, what's your Venmo? And I'm like, I'm 46. I've never set one of the, you know what? I'll tell you what, here's a t-shirt. You just take it and then go to Bandcamp later and buy one of our albums and we'll call it good. And like everybody else has this organized, like selling merch and I, yeah, close to, here's a t-shirt, close enough. You know, the key to never selling out and staying punk rock is to never have anything to sell.
Oh, there we go.
Boom. Boom.
If you were an animal, what kind would you choose and why?
I'd be a capybara. That is my spirit animal. Last year for my birthday, I actually got to go to a special zoo and paid for the junior zookeeper experience.
That's
and
awesome.
and like got to go in the pen and like pet the capybaras and hang out with them. And you know, they kind of at the end were like, so or at the very beginning, this young lady walks up in like a zookeeper outfit and it's like, okay, so where is the birthday boy? Where is Ken? And I'm like, one, that would be me. Two, I don't like your tone. And three, yes, I do want my junior zookeeper's badge, in spite of the fact that I'm 46. So if you would please show me to the capybara and lemur pens, that would be great. But yes,
That's great.
I just I love that they have this thing where they get along with every other animal
Mm-hmm.
in the world and are just chill. And that's the vibe that I try and maintain.
All right, time to make you do something you don't like to do. Promote yourself. Where can
Oh,
people find your stuff? Where can they keep up to date on what you're working on?
sure. We're on Bandcamp, and we have, you know, a few albums, an EP, and a couple singles there. We have some videos on YouTube. We're going to have some more coming out, but we have them for Ghost in the Rain and Miami Nights and Ninja Fights. But we're going to release a couple new videos for the new album. And like I said, we'll have that on Bandcamp. And we're also on Spotify, although I think we're blended in with like a Swedish dark rock band called Amaranth, spelled slightly different. And
Oh,
again, with the laziness, I really should like go to Spotify and try and make sure that we're separated from them. But again, that's me again, just saying, hey, I mean, we put it out. Good enough. If people want to hear it, they'll find it. It's fine. Whatever. Again, it is truly shocking that we have as many followers and everything as we have, because I really am terrible about talking about that. So
over in the comments, Mendax says mine's in a Mendax. What the hell kind of animal are you talking about? An opera pima? I don't even know what that is.
but yeah, so we're on all those. We're on Apple Music. I think we're on everything.
Mm.
But usually, I mean, I always say in general, to me, Bandcamp is the best way you can support musicians because it's
Absolutely.
what puts the money in their pocket. And I don't know, like people do and we've had this on Sounds and Shows a million times, but doing
Right.
the whole Spotify debate. And where I come down on is, sure, I mean, it's not a great way for bands to make money for the most part, but I don't think it's supposed to be. It's a promotional tool. And so if you want to make money, what you do is you put your single on Spotify and people hear it and they like it. And then they go to Bandcamp or your webpage and they buy your album. And that's it. But if you put the whole thing on Spotify, sure, people are going to listen to the whole thing on Spotify,
Right.
you know? So I think it's a matter of just kind of understanding the best way to use every tool available.
The only issue with that is just, you know, a lot of festivals and stuff like base everything off Spotify numbers.
True.
Which is,
yeah.
I hate Spotify because I, you know, hate that they screw artists over in some ways, but at the same time, it's like, you know, I want to give people the numbers who deserve it.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, I don't put really any effort into our Spotify for that reason. But I mean, we have one and people can hear us there. And I think that's fine. I don't have any big issue with it. And when it comes to promoters and where they get their info from, part of that is, look, if you have big numbers on Spotify, it means that you have fans across the world usually. You know, it's not just going to be your local area or something like that. So I understand why they use that as a metric, and I don't think that's horrible. Hopefully it's not the only thing they look at.
Yeah.
But sure, that should be something to think about if you're putting together a festival. Who can we get to travel from other places to come to our festival? You know, because that's a good part of, if you're putting on a festival with 10 acts or something, you expect that it's not just your local area that's going to be the support for it.
Yeah. People out in the comments, do you have any questions for Ken before we wrap this up? Post them now. And just, what do you want to say to the people who watch it? What, Ken?
I said, who is this Ken? That you know, no, but yeah.
So you said you're putting a new album out. What can you tell us about it?
Sure. Like I said, it's called Gothimism, and so that's one of the tracks. And like I said, that one, I think for that one track, which is the, you know, title and concept of it, of people in the goth scene coming together to lift each other up and help each other out. And I think we have something like 11 guest vocalists, 3 guest musicians on that. I love that. We have songs like Thighs about being drunk out on tour and going down on your partner after a show and waking up in the morning to find a perfect imprint of your makeup on their inner thigh. We're not a serious fan. We have a song called Goblin Raiding Party on that album, which is exactly what it sounds like. It's based on D&D, and I think I do 8 different unique goblin voices because I'm a dungeon master and kind of do voice work like that. And it's exactly what it sounds like. It's very silly. Keeping my OnlyFans was just something, you know, Maya came into us and said once, and doing a funny song about somebody deciding to keep doing their OnlyFans. Open Door, which is a voyeurism song about kind of, you know, being there in your bathroom and deciding to go take a shower, but leaving the door open, hoping that maybe your partner might walk by and see what you have going on in there. And you know, it just, that's a lot how we approach songs, is we just kind of have funny stories or ideas that have come up to us as a band. We get talking about it, and then we write really music behind it, and then I sing this silly shit over the top. So yeah, I mean, and that's a lot what this album is going to be as well. But we're really excited. It's something we've worked on a long time, and we're already kind of ready to get rolling on the next batch of songs with Damien a lot more involved, the new guitar player, in kind of the songwriting process of it.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Mendak says, what would the you from the beginning of your career think of where you are now?
Yes, when I was starting out in Amaranth, I definitely took myself a lot more seriously. And you can hear that like even on like the first album of New Amaranth that we did, Spreading the Charred Remains of Hope, we pulled a couple of old Amaranth songs that we rebooted. And you can definitely tell that I took myself way more seriously then. But I've always been this slobbery goth Saint Bernard, that I've just been an excited, silly, running up to people like person that never really fit the sitting there smoking a clove cigarette, like, whatever, fine. At mode. And so I would hope that people wouldn't take it as that much of a shock that I've always been like this. But yes, I think if I went back and showed myself the ridiculous thing that I've publicly become, I think young 19-year-old Ken would be pretty cross with me and call me a poser. If I must truly think on it hard, yeah.
All right, and what do you have to say for anybody who watches this?
I think I just hope that people continue looking for ways to bring new people to this scene, to be welcoming and inviting, that there are huge things happening for us now with bands like, Leathers the other night playing over at Cruel World Fest, opening for Duran Duran, and just that there is a fresh new blood in the world for this kind of music. And I really hope people give it a chance and embrace it. I'm excited for us to keep doing our ridiculous, silly thing. And I'm always touched by fans, that come to us and are into it. At that Vision video show on Thursday, I had 2 people come up and ask me for my autograph. And I was so shocked. I was like, wait, do you think I'm Dusty? Because he's over there at the bar. You okay? All right, sure. I'd love to sign it. Wonderful. Hi, nice to meet you. But it's great to see people resonating with that and people excited of the idea that goth doesn't have to be this tragic, serious, intense thing all the time. That life is a vast spectrum of experience, and there is a place for all of it in both goth music and anything else in life, to just allow differences in people and celebrate them. And we do the same thing in music. And I hope that continues with this new wave of dark scene.
All right. Well said. And I really appreciate you coming on here.
Sure. A pleasure to be on, Eric. I love what you're doing with this. Keep going and keep finding ways to lift up new bands, because we need more of that in this scene. And please, everybody, check out Sounds and Shadows if you want to learn about new dark wave bands coming out, and be excited about that and support them. We sift through the tens of thousands in the world to help find the ones that you might have resonate with you the most. So,
all right. Thank you so much. I'm working on planning an interview for next week. I can't quite announce it yet, but other than that, yeah. Thanks again, Ken. And
no
you're welcome to hang out off the air after the credits roll if you want to.
Okay. All right. Take care, everyone. Thank you for watching.
you. It's